Hello YouTube, this is Ozzy99 Slicer again. This is my follow-up video for the Archfiend deck to explain further certain cards that I feel most people don't use because they don't seem to understand how to make them work. So I thought I'd go ahead and explain. First off, I'd just like to start off with the new one, the newest one, which we'll have for the sneak peek, my Archfiend Empress. Archfiend Empress has the protection ability of if exactly one face-up dark type monster on your side of the field would be destroyed, except this card, you can remove from play one dark fiend type. First part, I forgot the fiend type there. Dark fiend type monster from your graveyard instead. If this card is there's that, then the actual really good part is if this card is destroyed and sent to the from the field to the graveyard, you can select one level 5 or higher dark fiend type monster in your graveyard except Archfiend Empress and special summon it. That can mean all sorts of epic little things for you. For me, it's not that big of a deal, which is why I might end up running some more tributes because of her. But as well, she's a great beat stick. She's a 29, 21. She's a level 8 Dark Fiend. If you were to bring her out by the normal methods of tributing, it's a bit costly. But the way I'm trying to do this is to try to get her off without having to do a tribute. But the reason for the tribute issue is why I ran the Fires of Doomsday. But essentially, your opponent lightning vortexes, you're not left with nothing then. So it's a good little thing about that. Then let's move on to the Mist Archfiend. Mist Archfiend I have been running ever since he came out. In fact, I got him at the sneak that he came out in, and he hasn't left the deck since. Mist Archfiend's a great monster because if you need that big beat stick and just to overpower something, he's a nice little alternative. As well, though it's a drawback if you summon him without the tributes, you will take 1,000 damage, but sometimes you have to take some damage in an Archfiend deck to get somewhere with it. So if you have a Pandemonium out, you can get a circ of level 4 or lower off of him, which gives you access to a large part of the deck. So it's sometimes worth it. As well, gives you another tribute to possibly use with one of the cards I'll be explaining here later on. The one that people really don't seem to understand is Terror King. Terror King Archfiend, he is insanely broken as far as I've seen. In all the years I've been using him, he has screwed over almost every opponent I've ever had. First off, he's a high attack for just being a level 4, as well as his restrictive purposes of being able to negate the effect of any monster he kills. So it can disrupt a lot of your opponent's plans with certain monsters. Well, helps you get through some of those flip effects, even though they're not as widespread anymore. It's still a potential problem, especially since people still kind of tech in Ryko into about anything. As well, it would screw over some of the versions of like Monarchs that I've seen, as well as if Gravekeepers do come back, like we're possibly seeing, it'll screw over those spies if you can give them a boost. Okay, moving on, we've got the Vilepawns. Vilepawns pretty self-explanatory, but most people don't run him because he's pretty damn weak. But you have to combine him in other ways, like with Infernal Queen, to make him stronger. Or if you can get both of them out, it creates a lot to where your opponent can't attack any Archfiends, which is nice. It's very similar to the Marauding Captain, but it's a little bit more specific. As well as he's your lowest level outside of Archfiend Marmot of Nefariousness and a few other Archfiends that you can search with Pandemonium off of almost anything. Then there's the Desrooks. Desrooks are mostly run if you run the Terror Kings, because at least if you set your Terror King because he can't normal summon him because of his restriction on his summoning, you can then bring back the Terror King face up. As well, provides a wall, and on top of that, I've actually, on a regular basis, just equipped an Axe of Despair on him, and my opponent can't get through him. It's surprisingly enough. One of my personal favorites, Dark Bishop Archfiend. He's got one of the best artworks as far as I'm concerned. But as well, he helps protect those Archfiends that don't have a good dice roll or don't even have a dice roll. even the ones that have multiple hits on it, it can help protect them a whole lot better. Essentially, even on the best day, you're looking at full Archfiend of Lightning with a 1, 3, or 6. That's a 50% chance of protecting him. Your odds go up a little bit better if you have 2 dice rolls in there, so you can potentially protect him. Then there's the Archfiend's Roar. Archfiend's Roar, you have to pay 500 to bring back one of your Archfiends from your graveyard, and it can't be tributed under any condition, and then it's destroyed at the end of the turn. Which, this doesn't sound all that good, but you got to consider some of the other cards that you can work with it. You've got first off the Archfiend Empress, which works really well. You've got the whole thing of being able to get Terror King summoning condition off with it. You've got the whole thing of possibly combining with Lancer Archfiend. You've got the possibility of creating a lock for 1 turn on your opponent with Vilepon Archfiend. You've got the potential of getting a search off of Pandemonium very easily with a high level monster, which is really nice. Those are the big things that I do with it most of the time. And as well, I guess if you're in danger of having a big direct attack, you have an Archfiend Empress in the graveyard, chances are she's going to be stronger than almost anything your opponent has. So pull her out. Hey, you're safe for a little while, and then she'll die. She'll bring something else out. Not bad. So that's my in-depth explanation for some of these cards that some of you are not aware of or don't seem to understand how to use them, or just think that they're a waste of time. Like, for example, on Pojo, someone was talking about a New Age Archfiend deck. Someone suggested throwing in Terror King like I would, but the guy said that Terror King's harder to get out than some of his level 8 tribute monsters. And that makes no sense to me, because on a regular basis I get him out without a problem. But either way, this is Osman89 Slicer, signing out.